Hey guys, Justin here. Welcome to Monza. So this is going to be pretty much super speedway qualifying, but this is going to be a first lap hot lap, so let's jump right into it. Alright, let's take a look at that. So this is essentially super speedway qualifying, except because of how the track is laid out, there's some weird nuances to it. So for the run up here, so this will be a first lap because I think that the tires actually make a bit of a difference on the second lap in the terms of like hundredths, so it's not that bad. But I'm just running like a normal 3 and 4 or whatever you call these turns in Monza, because all I'm trying to do is I think that the top is too bumpy to really gain that much speed on exit. And here's the problem. I'll back up a little bit after this. You see how it kind of the turn kind of tightens on exit. So if I was on the top here, so let me back up here. If I was on the top coming around, I would have to come and make a really sharp turn, relatively sharp turn at the very end, just to make the exit. And that's not how you build up speed for a lap. You want to make your exit as straight as possible for a lap, because any sort of wheel input in these situations is scrubbing tire speed. So what I do is I actually stay at the bottom, because now instead of having to turn down the track, now I can just, now I can just drive basically straight off, and that will help me keep up the best speed possible. So you see I have no issues leaving the corner, and so I stayed down here. I tried to see if there was a difference, like if I could get on a patch of track that would be a little faster. I don't think that really matters, so this is fine. And so what I did for the 1 and 2 on hot lap is, notice I'm not quite by the wall, but I'm not on the bottom either. So usually at a situation like this, I kind of like to enter on the bottom. But the problem is in turns 1 and 2, if you enter on the bottom, it's literally like a ramp. Like there's a literal hill right there that you'll just jump over if you're too low. So to avoid that, I'm going a little bit more middle, but I'm trying to get to the bottom as quick as possible. Not too bad. So now once I'm down here, I try to get to the bottom as quick as possible, and now I'm just trying to hold the wheel. So here's a big deal. So you cannot turn the wheel too much. There's a very, very small angle that it takes to slide your rears a bit and scrub off tires in time. So I'm just trying to drive at that angle. If I had to guess, I'm on 16-1 right now. It's probably somewhere about like right here. If I turned past that, it would start slipping the rear. So you cannot go past maybe about like right here. So if the car starts sliding up in the middle of the corner, you cannot go past that part of the wheel. And you'll discover it on your own after you scrub your tires a couple times, so use that instead of me just trying to find it on my own wheel after the fact. But that's the biggest deal about these corners, is that even if it means not sticking really to the yellow line, you do not want to scrub tires and speed. So I'm holding it at that angle, and if it slips up just a little bit off the yellow, that's okay. But this did a really good job of staying by the yellow with this entry. So the only other thing to do is let the car straighten out on exit as early as possible so that we get a pretty good launch and very solid. So not that involved, but it's all about not scrubbing your tires. Then 3 and 4, I'm going to enter a little shallower than I did in 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is a little more difficult in my opinion because I enter shallow here, and then there's going to be a big bump right after corner entry. Should be right there. You see how much my car jumped? So the challenge is we need to hit that bump in a way where it doesn't send our car up the track very much, because once again, we cannot turn the wheel that much to negate it. So you see, I got stuck in the middle here, but I'm like, well, I can't turn the wheel more than I am already. So I just pretty much was running the middle most of this because I could not afford to turn down the hill much more, else it would scrub my tires. So if you're able to get that bump in a way where you neither scrub your tires nor slide up, that's going to be a little more time for you. And I wasn't able to get it right off the bat, but I'm pretty sure it's possible. But the last thing is, once you get towards the end, same idea as our outlap, we want to cut the bottom at the very end because the corner tightens and we don't want to turn our wheel too much on exit. So again, we did that pretty much same line. We stay kind of middle bottom, and then at the last second, we kind of ease our way all the way to the bottom so that we can make as straight of an exit as possible. And then with that, we should carry enough speed to get a decent qual time. And I think qual time is going to be very important at this track because I don't know how you're going to pass here, but we'll go over that right in a sec here. So let's take a look at it. All right, so let's talk about a couple long run things. So this track, there's not much to it, obviously. It's just a lot of full throttle and maybe some things to squeeze you 100s, but you're going to be drafting in these cars. But I don't think that side by side is really going to work at all in the corners. Like, this just seems too narrow for me to legitimately just have 2x2 racing. So what it's probably going to do is string out, and what people are going to do are they're going to try to get runs on people coming off of corners so that they can build up a draft and get to the inside of someone on the beginning of a corner. So I think what's really important is maximizing your exit speed, and you might just be at the mercy of the draft a lot of the time, but by maximizing your exit speed, you kind of do is take the chances of not having a run coming off the corner if you don't have a lot of exit speed. So I think you can clear people pretty easily on the bottom here because I think most people are going to run middle or bottom, and I think that 2 wide is just so sketchy that the person up top just won't want anything to do with it. So I think the only way you're going to make passes is just getting a run on somebody, getting to their bottom and kind of entering low. But this gets sketchy too, especially in the entry of 1. There's a couple big bumps, like you see that bump right about a third of the way into turns 3 and 4, or whatever they call it at Monza. Right after the entry, there's just a bit of a bump there. And what that does is it kind of just launches your car up the track. So if you're side by side with someone, you got to be really mindful of that bump in 3 and 4, or else you're just going to wall them. See, and then entering into 1, it's really hard on the low side because it's like a ramp almost. So it's going to be very hard to find any passing lanes. I think that's why qualifying is going to be so important here, because you're going to have to draft somebody, pull out from under them, but likely there's nobody helping you down here. So it's like tandems of 2 are going to have to pass 1 at a time. That's what I'm kind of feeling, because this pass right here, it seems really sketchy, getting to the bottom and kind of going here and whatnot. And the last thing I want to talk about is the amount of wheel that you use. So I'll demonstrate it in the next corner here, but you really want to minimize the amount of wheel you use in the race because it's really easy to lose your rears when you're going full throttle. So I'm going to just oversteer a little bit in the corner, and we'll see how the car behaves here. Let's take a little more neutral of an entrance here. But listen to the tires here. You can't turn too much, so you got to really stick to a line. And you see how much that slows down my run when I'm just scrubbing my tires? So when you're maybe leading a pack or you're not super in the draft, you got to be really careful not to scrub your tires mid-corner because you could probably spin out. I haven't spun out on purpose yet. I mean, it doesn't seem that easy to spin out, but you scrub off a lot of speed. You see how much speed I'm scrubbing off by oversteering a little bit. So those are just a couple things. And then the last thing I want to point out is don't get your right sides in grass. This is sketchy, and that's how you're gonna run. Because the wall is outside of the grass, you'll think it's easy. Or you'll try to space yourself subconsciously to the wall, but if you touch that grass, you're kind of just toast. You're kind of gone.
Press and hold the reset button and we'll come and get you.
So basically, if you're on the outside, don't space yourself to the wall. Remember to space yourself to the grass, or else you're going to end up with a very embarrassing front stretch or back stretch spin out. But other than that, this seems like it'll be fun. I'm not exactly sure how it'll play out, but that's my best thoughts. So anyways, thank you all for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.